Welcome to Frame Forge, your ultimate movie breakdown channel. At Frame Forge, we break down the biggest trailers, uncover hidden details, and dive deep into the mysteries of upcoming film. Today's breakdown, Mickey 17, Robert Pattinson's mind-bending sci-fi thriller. What if you died, but kept coming back? What if every version of you remembered the last? And what if one copy refused to be erased? This is Mickey 17, a sci-fi thriller where cloning isn't just survival, it's a fight for identity. Let's dive into the secrets of the first trailer. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop your theories in the comments. The cold, sterile hum of the spaceship echoed through the vast metallic corridors as Mickey's eyes fluttered open. His breath was shallow, his vision blurry. The last thing he remembered was entering the cryogenic pod, but something felt off. His limbs ached as he struggled to stand, his fingers trembling against the smooth, frost-covered glass. As his senses adjusted, a wave of confusion washed over him. Why was he? The dim emergency lights flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows on the walls. His reflection in the glass revealed more than exhaustion. It showed fear. A sound from behind made him spin around. Another figure stood a few feet away, watching him. Mickey's heart pounded as he took in the man's appearance. It was him. The same tousled, dark hair, the same sharp features. But there was something lifeless in the other's expression, an unsettling stillness in his stance. Mickey took a step closer, and so did the doppelganger. A cold shiver ran down his spine. He wasn't alone, but this wasn't just another person. It was another version of him. Before he could speak, a sudden hiss of pressurized air signaled the opening of a nearby door. A man in a dark uniform stepped in. His sharp gaze flickered between the two Mickeys, his expression unreadable. "You weren't supposed to wake up yet," he said, his voice even and controlled. Mickey's pulse quickened. What the hell is going on? His voice cracked slightly, his throat slightly dry from the cryo-sleep. The officer's gaze remained steady. "Protocol failure," he muttered, turning his attention to a small device in his palm, tapping rapidly on its surface. The clone, if that's what it was, still hadn't spoken, just stood there, mirroring his every move. Mickey's stomach churned. He knew about duplication technology, but he never imagined he'd be part of such an experiment. The officer sighed and finally met Mickey's gaze. "There's no time to explain. The ship is in distress, and you need to cooperate." A sudden alarm blared, a pulsing red light flooding the room. Over the intercom, a robotic voice announced, "Critical system failure. Evacuation required." The officer's calm demeanor shifted slightly, a flicker of urgency breaking through. Mickey clenched his fists. He didn't trust this man, but he had no choice but to follow. As they stepped into the hallway, the cold steel beneath his feet sent chills up his spine. The ship groaned as if alive, metal bending under unseen forces. Mickey stole a glance at his silent duplicate, who walked beside him, expression unreadable. Every instinct screamed that something was deeply wrong. They reached a control room filled with flickering screens and holographic displays projecting unreadable data streams. A young engineer, his jumpsuit stained with grease, was frantically typing away at a console. "We've got a containment breach near the engine core," he barked without looking up. "If we don't fix it, we won't be alive long enough to argue about ethical dilemmas." Mickey turned to the officer. "So, what now? Am I supposed to trust that thing?" He motioned toward his silent duplicate. The officer rubbed his temples. "He's you. Every memory, every instinct, you share it. But he hasn't been awake long enough to develop independent thought." The clown suddenly tilted his head. "That's not true." A cold silence filled the room. Mickey took a slow step back. The clone's gaze was different now, sharper, more self-aware. The officer's fingers hovered over his tablet, ready to override control if necessary. Then the lights flickered again. The ship jolted violently, sending everyone crashing against the walls. Mickey groaned as he pushed himself up. Through the window, he saw a massive tear in the hull of the ship. Darkness beyond, swallowing fragments of metal like a hungry void. The engine core was failing. They were running out of time. The engineer cursed. "If we don't stabilize the ship, we all die. Original or clone, doesn't matter." Mickey's mind raced. He had no reason to trust anyone, least of all the person wearing his own face. But survival wasn't a choice, it was a necessity. The clone met his gaze, a silent understanding passing between them. Without another word, they moved together, their hands flying over the controls, working as one. The officer watched, his expression unreadable. In the end, it didn't matter who the real Mickey was, it only mattered who survived.